I finally found what's eating my aloe vera. Welcome to the aloe vera garden. I've reached a point where I no longer feel bothered when I see rotting aloe vera plant in my garden. I've come to accept it as a natural part of growing aloe vera, especially if you have as many plants as I do. A few years ago, every time I saw a rotting aloe vera, I felt disappointed. I would wonder what I did wrong or if I had been neglecting them somehow. But as time passed, my garden grew and I realized that losing a few plants here and there is normal, especially when you have thousands of them. A little rot now and then doesn't make much of a difference. However, recently I noticed something unusual. It wasn't just a few random plants rotting, but mostly my bigger aloe vera plants, and they were in larger pots. The number of rotting plants didn't seem normal. Something else was going on. Aloe vera doesn't show signs of root rot early on. It takes long before the plant shows symptoms like thinner, curling leaves or browning at the edges. This plant, for example, still had healthy leaves, but it collapsed because its base stem had rotted. When I cut it, I found that the stem had dried up, leaving behind only fibrous remains as if something had sucked its juices. The same thing had happened to most of the plants that rotted recently. I had no clue what was happening until one day, the guy who helped me in the garden mentioned something interesting. Every time he emptied a pot with rotten plant, he found little white grubs in the soil. At first, I didn't think much of it. They're just beetle larvae. What harm could white grubs do? But then, curiosity got the better of me. I did a quick Google search and I was shocked. These grubs are not just harmless insects, they feed on plant roots, and that explained everything. The bigger plants were suffering because their roots were being eaten from underneath. So I started checking other plants that rotted in smaller pots, since they were easy to handle. And guess what? I found even more of these white grubs hiding in the soil. Suddenly, everything made sense. Over the past few months, I have noticed more beetles flying around the garden. Turns out those beetles lay eggs in the soil and their larvae, the white grubs, start munching aloe vera roots. Some people might immediately think of using pesticides, but I don't want to do that. I eat my aloe vera and prefer to keep everything as natural as possible. Instead, I've decided to just wait it out. Eventually, the beetles will go and the grubs will disappear. Besides, I can always replant the rotted aloe vera. That's the beauty of this plant. It's resilient and grows back easily. This is the plant I cut earlier. It's been almost 2 months since then and it still looks fine. Because it was lying sideways covering the crown, the leaves that continued to grow looked very pale. I should have placed it in a pot sooner as I usually do so it could start growing roots. But I've been busy. I hope you learned something from this video. This is Danny. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.